So, Daria Dugina, Alexander Dugin's daughter, was killed a few days ago in a car explosion. Um, all the evidence suggests that this was an assassination attempt against Alexander Dugin, and unfortunately, the daughter was killed in collateral damage. This explosion happened in Moscow, Russia, and what happened was Dugin and his daughter Daria were at a festival together where Alexander Dugin was due to have a speech, have a lecture or a speech. They drove in the same car on the way there, but they didn't drive. They went their own separate ways after this festival happened. So the car that they drove in was rigged by explosives. Evidence shows that the explosives were planted while they were away at the conference or at the festival, and they came back and it was booby trapped. Like I said, Alexander Dugin did find his own way to wherever he was going after the festival. So the daughter has been killed as collateral damage. Now, I see a lot of communists on the internet celebrating this and actually wishing that it was Alexander Dugin. And let me explain to you why that's wrong. We shouldn't be we shouldn't be celebrating the death of anyone really. I must say Nazis and fascists and people who openly militarily defend the imperialists. Of course, at a warfare kind of level, at a conflict level, of course they will be the hostiles. They will be the enemies. But at a political or diplomatic level, Alexander Dugin was Vladimir Putin's top geopolitical advisor. Every geopolitical decision that Putin made, he ran it through Alexander Dugin. That was his job. Alexander Dugin, right now, is a Russian government advisor. He's a government official, and yeah, he's Putin's top geopolitical advisor. So when it comes to the Chechen war, the Chechen separatist movements, when it comes to the current denazification of Ukraine, the conflict with Ukraine right now, when it comes to who Russia should be allies with at an international level, which governments Russia should be friends with or hostile to, Alexander Dugin has quite a big impact and influence on that. So, for example, Russia has been slowly but surely increasing its friendly ties with China. This is not the work of Putin by himself. He has government advisors advising him to do these things, and Alexander Dugin is one of those people. Does Alexander Dugin have questionable political ideas or philosophical ideas? Of course he does. Most people do. Alexander Dugin has quite a utopian or idealistic view on Eurasianism, and he sees that Eurasianism is a good movement to support. I personally don't know that much about Eurasianism. I'm pretty sure Alexander Dugin sees that movement, the idea of a Eurasianistic kind of multipolarity, as a good thing, and he refers to multipolarity quite a lot. He's a fervent supporter of multipolarism, and a staunch fighter against US imperialism and US unipolarism. He wants countries to not be interfered with. That's his kind of view on international relations per se. Not necessarily that evil. That's something I do support. He wants countries to be left alone. He doesn't think that any country should have the right to interfere in any other country, sovereign state's business. And I think that's something that I can get behind. Of course. But at the end, philosophically and politically, he does have a lot of questionable things. He is the founder of the National Bolshevik Party of Russia back in the 1990s. He has drifted away from that over the decades. He's moderated and became more moderate. And like I said earlier, today, as of right now, Alexander Dugin is the top geopolitical advisor to Vladimir Putin. Um, so yeah, I really don't think that communists should be celebrating the death of his daughter, the murder of his daughter, and should be wishing that it was Dugin. This war in Ukraine, this denazification of Ukraine, wouldn't be happening, or wouldn't be happening the way it is right now, without the influence of Alexander Dugin, and Russia would not be uh, helping China lead the new multipolar international movement, if it wasn't for Alexander Dugin. So Alexander Dugin has there's a lot of good stuff that people should say about Alexander Dugin. He's not completely evil. No one is completely evil. But yeah, he has questionable. He has problematic ideas. Of course, his book, the fourth political ideology, he openly criticizes communism. He says that communism has failed, and that we need a fourth political theory that goes beyond liberalism, communism, and fascism. We need a new one, a kind of postmodern, traditionalist political philosophy. So yeah, I mean, he's anti-communist. Sure, he's not a friend to the communist movement, but he isn't. He does support the governments that we should support. He does support Cuba. He supports China. He supports the DPRK. He's friendly to the vast majority of anti-imperialist states. So yeah, we should not be celebrating the death of Daria Dugina, and we should not be wishing that it was Alexander Dugin that had been killed. It's absolute nonsense, and yeah, that's not something that we should be doing. And I'm sorry if this video offends you, but it has to be said. We should not be supporting this. We shouldn't be wishing death upon multipolar political leaders. Multipolarism is a fantastic thing. I come from the specialty of international relations. I know very well about multipolarism, and it's a fantastic thing. Since the bipolarism of the Cold War, when it was the USA and the Soviet Union having bipolar power over the world, pretty much countries had a choice. They could choose to rely on the Soviet Union, which was siding with the communist ideology, or you sided with the USA, which was the liberal kind of democratic camp. But yeah, there was always that bipolarism. But since the collapse of the Soviet Union, there's been unipolarism. The US has ran everything. They've dominated the planet. They are now the police of the world. The US controls almost everything there is politically on the planet. And this should absolutely not be supported. The kind of people that support this are constructivists and realists and liberals. These are the kind of people that support a unipolarism or hegemony or a world police state. That is not what communists should support. And Marxists should take the line that we should support multipolarism. We should support national self-determination. We should support countries taking their own paths. That is stuff that we should support. And that is what Alexander Dugin was trying to do in Russia. He's not an imperialist. He doesn't want to invade other countries. He just wants Russia to be left alone. He wants Russia to be left to their own devices, to take their own path through full-on, genuine self-determination. That is something that we should be trying to build. So stop celebrating the death of people, especially somebody who wasn't actually even involved politically. She was collateral damage, Daria. She was collateral damage, and it's absolutely horrifying. So communists on the internet have to grow up and stop celebrating murder. This was an attack. Nobody has taken responsibility for the car explosion, but it's obviously somebody that is vehemently against Russian independence, somebody who's vehemently against the multipolar movement, and most likely is some sort of satellite proxy for the US imperialists. And with that materialist analysis, it has to be said that we should be 100% opposed to this car explosion. And it upsets me that this has to be said, but yeah, we have to stand vehemently opposed to this car explosion. So yeah, Please cut it out. If you're out there saying, "Oh yeah, it should have been Alexander Dugin," please grow up. It's ridiculous. You're not thinking like a materialist. You're thinking like an immature, infantile university student who just thinks that the world should evolve around your own personal ideology. Well, sorry, that's not how the world works. Daria was fairly innocent. She was just a woman who happened to be the daughter of a fairly unpopular or controversial man. That's not her fault, and she shouldn't have died. And even if it was Dugin, he should not be killed either. He's done a lot of good for Russia, and yeah, he has he has said stupid stuff in my opinion. I've read Dugin's work. They're there somewhere. I don't agree with most of what he has to say philosophically, but if you think like a materialist, you have to accept that Dugin has done good for Russia, and we should not be celebrating or wishing death upon him. It's absolutely disgusting. So please cut it out. Thank you. That's my rant over.